Continuing on with our evolution of the kitchen series, this time we're looking at the Victorian kitchen. To frame this as a time, we're generally talking about the mid-1800s right the way up to the First World War. There's no doubt that the biggest impact on kitchens in this era was the evolving middle class. This meant in the Victorian era, rooms were ideally single purpose. Thus, you had an area only for cooking and then separate rooms for storage, called a larder, and preparation, called a scullery. Funny how it takes us a long time to learn from history. In our modern kitchen, we are now seeing, after the push towards open plan, a move back to separate spaces, like the butler's pantry, without the butler but with the coffee machine. With the Industrial Revolution in full swing and the middle class growing rapidly, the Victorians were unstoppable inventors and tinkerers, introducing enhancements that we take for granted in today's kitchen. So, what did a Victorian kitchen look like? In an ideal kitchen of this time, there were many aspects that were extremely desirable, such as a scullery, which would have had one or even two sinks for cleaning food and washing pots, and surprisingly, maybe even cleaning clothes. Also, there would have been a larder for fresh food storage, and there might have also been a large cupboard and storage of dried goods. Can certainly see some parallels in our modern kitchen. Kitchens were generally on the bottom level of the house. This was also primarily as they were used to generate hot water. This became an essential part of design with the successful invention of plumbing, which ensured that hot and cold water could get to most points in the house. One rapidly changing element of a kitchen was the cooker. Many of the experimental gas cookers that emerged were quite dangerous due to smoke escapes and explosions. Safe versions of gas cookers didn't arrive into Europe until a British invention in about 1926. This may have meant that gas cookers didn't arrive in American households until the 1860s. This was a similar case with the electric stove, as in 1890 one of the first models was introduced and it spoiled almost all meals it prepared with a very incorrect and rudimentary thermostat. Due to the challenges that had occurred in the implementation of gas and electric cookers, coal and wood-fired stoves were still readily used right the way through this period. There is also no doubt, with the challenges that came with wood and coal-fired stoves being air pollution and the like, there was definitely some motivation to get gas and electric right. In the late 1890s, the kitchen began to change into the well-appointed room that we know today. With the Industrial Revolution came new concepts and efficiencies. With the continuing scientific discoveries in microscopic life, it became aware that bacteria were causing diseases inside of our kitchens, which caused the homemaker to be aware of their cleanliness and the impact on their food. One important distinction between a modern kitchen and a Victorian kitchen was generally the Victorian kitchen was classed as being inwardly orientated, whereas our modern kitchens are definitely focused outward. The primary work surface was in the centre of the kitchen. This was usually a large, heavy and sturdy table. The rest of the elements were arranged around the perimeter of the room, which included storage furniture, cooking stove and sink. We certainly see the benefit of this today in our modern island bench. Some of these elements are referred to as a country-style kitchen. Some of the advantages of this was being able to sit down whilst cooking, considering the extended time it required to complete. The movement towards gas and electricity was probably also pushed by the time savings by not having to collect timber or coal to fire your stove. One of the first refrigerators for home use was created by GE in 1911, but didn't appear fully to catch on until 1927. Up until then, we were generally using an icebox, which was basically a furniture-sized ice chest. The ice chest was an insulated cabinet lined with tin or zinc, with a slot for a giant block of ice, delivered weekly by the Iceman. Even now, we occasionally meet people who refer to the refrigerator as an icebox. There is no doubt there's a lot of lessons that were learnt in this era which are being reapplied in ours. The idea of an island bench and separate spaces for separate purposes is now being readily implemented into our modern kitchen. There is no doubt that a lot of change occurs around massive tumultuous events like world wars, and this can be seen in this period and also up until the Second World War, which is where we'll discuss in our next episode. Renovation Insider, a better way to start your home improvement.